Hello everyone, my name is Randy Villines. I am the Program Director for the Fire Science Technology Program here at Ozarks Technical Community College. For my presentation today, out of the instructional methodologies from the textbook, I have chosen setting objectives and providing feedback. And hopefully by the end of the presentation you'll understand why I chose that particular category for my presentation today. So without any further ado, I will start the timer and off we go. 88 seconds. 88 seconds. Every 88 seconds in the United States, someone's house catches fire. And of those 1,000 fires per day in the United States, the #1 cause of those fires is cooking. In previous classes, we've talked about early fire detection using smoke alarms. So now that we've detected our fire, if we are comfortable in using a fire extinguisher and the fire is small enough, we can put that fire out, or at least keep it in check, keep it small enough for everyone to get out of the house and wait for the fire department to arrive to put it out completely. So today's presentation we'll be talking about fire extinguishers, and our objectives are to get to know the primary classifications of fire, to get to know when to use a fire extinguisher, and ultimately how to use a fire extinguisher. We've already talked about every 88 seconds a fire occurring in the United States. Unfortunately, on average, 7 people per day die in house fires. We talked about the #1 cause being cooking, leading cause of fire, house fires and house fire injuries. And ultimately, careless smoking is the leading cause of fire fatalities in houses. In looking at the classifications of fire, there are 5 different classifications. For our purposes today, we're only going to cover the first 3 classifications because they affect us most in our day-to-day lives. A Class A fire involves ordinary combustibles: paper, trash, cardboard, wood. A Class B fire, flammable liquids: gasoline, diesel, kerosene. Class C fire, energized electrical equipment, whether it is arcing and sparking coming from an outlet on the wall, or a light fixture, or an appliance that's plugged into the wall, or an oven that is malfunctioning. Fortunately for us, most extinguishers that are available in a school setting, public school, college, tend to be a multi-purpose fire extinguisher. And if you look at this particular slide, it specifically says on the extinguisher ABC. The extinguisher I have in front of me is a multi-purpose fire extinguisher. Fortunately for us as well, if we don't seem to come across the ABC on the fire extinguisher, we can look for pictographs. Most modern day fire extinguishers utilize the pictograph system. The first line for that particular fire extinguisher says, don't use it on trash, but it's okay on flammable liquids and energized electrical. On the second extinguisher, the trash, it can be used on, but not flammable liquids or energized electrical. The last extinguisher, you can use it on trash, you can use it on flammable liquids, but don't use it on energized electrical equipment. So those pictographs do come in handy. So let's look at the anatomy of a fire extinguisher. You have the bottle or the cylinder, which is filled with an extinguishing agent as well as a propellant to help push that extinguishing agent out of the bottle. You have the hose and the end of it called a nozzle, or you may have an extinguisher that just has the nozzle. You have a handle to lift up the fire extinguisher, or occasionally they're mounted on the wall with their handle. Above that is the release lever, which is held in place by a pull pin. And this pull pin is held in place by a breakaway tab. So when we pull this pin, the tab breaks away. The idea for this pin is to keep us from accidentally squeezing that release lever next to the handle and spraying out expelling agent all over the place, which I've done in my own personal vehicle a couple of times, I am embarrassed to say. So that is the meat and potatoes of the parts of a fire extinguisher. Before you ever use the extinguisher though, ask yourself a few questions. Has everyone evacuated? Has everyone gotten out of the house, gotten out of the classroom, gotten out of the school? Has someone called 911? In this day and age of cell phone usage, you would hope someone called 911, but always ask if someone has called. Do you know the location of the nearest fire extinguisher? If I'm at your public school or at your college and I go out in the hallway, if I stand in the middle of the hallway, I should be able to go within 75 feet to my right and find a fire extinguisher, or 75 feet to my left and find a fire extinguisher. So the next time you're in the hallway, kind of walk off 75 feet-ish and see if you can find a fire extinguisher. At home, hopefully you have a fire extinguisher and you're not a bad person like me and you put it under the kitchen sink behind all the cleaning products. Bad place to go digging for it if you had a fire. Have it mounted on the wall near the kitchen someplace where it's accessible, that you could actually use it. Are you comfortable, or first of all, do you know how to use it? And we'll go over that a little bit later in this presentation. Are you comfortable using it? In a stressful situation around fire, sometimes our adrenaline gets up and we fumble a little bit. So are we comfortable using that extinguisher? Is the fire small and contained? If the fire is about the size of a 13-gallon trash can, which is what most of us have in our kitchens, and it's kind of contained to that area or that trash can, then I would say you should be comfortable putting out a fire. I would be comfortable putting out a fire that size. Have smoke conditions deteriorated to the point you're smelling smoke, you're coughing, you're choking, you're having to get low? If you're having to combat the smoke just to get to the fire, we don't want that. We want you to be able to utilize the extinguisher in a method that's safe for you and allows you ease of getting in and out of the room. With lots of smoke is lots of carbon monoxide, which can incapacitate you within minutes, within seconds, depending on the amount of carbon monoxide. So if you're choking amongst all that smoke, just get out. And above all, if you are in doubt, always get out. If you have any of those questions that you're in doubt about, get out. Let the fire department come put out that fire. Before using extinguishers, some things to be thinking about is it appropriate for the fire you will be fighting? Again, most schools, public school systems, use multi-purpose extinguishers, which are great for everything in general. Secondary to that is the gauge in the green, which means it's full. If it's not in the green, that's not a full fire extinguisher. Find another one that is full, or don't bother fighting the fire. Also, with a hose or with a nozzle, make sure someone hasn't stuck things like bubble gum, surprise, surprise, in the school system, up the end of a nozzle, or a broken pencil, eraser. We found all kinds of things in a school setting that have been lodged in that. If something is lodged in that, it's not going to work for you. So choose a different extinguisher and make sure that ultimately gets pulled out of service until it's fixed. The PASS method. If you want to pass this class, remember the acronym PASS, and that is pull the pin. We're going to pull the pin out, and it looks like a little hand grenade pin, so we're going to pull the pin out. We're going to aim the nozzle toward the base of the fire. We're going to squeeze the release lever down toward the handle, and we're going to sweep back and forth at the base of the fire until the fire is knocked out or completely put out. So again, pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, sweep back and forth, approximately 8 to 10 feet away, although some publications and educational materials will say 6 to 8 feet. We just want you to be comfortable, not too close to the fire, not too far away from the fire. So anywhere from 6 to 10 feet would be appropriate. After attacking the fire, if you haven't put out the fire with one extinguisher, don't go back for a second extinguisher. Fire will double in size about every minute. So when it was the size of a trash can and you go back for a second extinguisher, it can be the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. And a minute after that, the size of the entire room. So don't go back for another extinguisher. Back out of the room, close the door, which will limit oxygen to feed that fire. Don't re-enter to double check and see if the fire's out, and wait for the fire department. So in review, every 88 seconds a fire occurs in the United States. 3 classifications of fire: Class A, Class B, Class C. We went over the parts of the fire extinguisher. We talked about questions to ask before fighting a fire. Everybody out? Someone called 911. Do I know where the extinguisher is? Am I comfortable using it? Do I know how to use it? Is it too smoky? We talked about what to check before. That's the appropriate extinguisher. It's in the green and nothing stuck up the nozzle. Talked about the PASS method. pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. Kind of sounds conga beat, so if you were here today with me, we would do a little dance, pull, aim, squeeze, sweep, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. And what to do after a fire? Use one extinguisher, back out of the room, close the door, wait for the fire department. Are there any questions at all? And now that I have 5 whole seconds left, I want to thank you all. I look forward to your critiques of my presentation today. And ultimately, if you had been here today after this presentation, the students would come up and one by one go through the pass method for me to lift a fire extinguisher, know how much they weigh in real life, to actually pull the pin, aim the nozzle. We would skip the squeezing part in the classroom for multi reasons here, and then we're going to sweep back and forth. For my graduate credit points, I'll be talking about the virtual reality classroom, things that are being used in the classroom today that is just fascinating. One of the things tied to virtual reality that we use is a fire simulator. It's just an LED screen that we can intensify the fire to whatever level that we want, and a fire extinguisher that has electronics in it that sends a signal to that board, and each student goes through the pass method in order to attempt to put out the fire. And it's really cool, costs about $15,000, so not everybody has them, but it is a tool that can be utilized in the classroom. Again, I thank you for allowing me to videotape my presentation. I look forward again to your